Welcome to the What to Play podcast. I'm your host, Jacob. Lucas could not be here this week because of prior commitments, so I'm going solo once again. Let's start with recapping the Super Bowl. We did a recap of the Super Bowl on Monday. I would encourage you to go check that out. But the Seahawks, it just felt like they were the better team. They were more explosive. They were better in certain parts of their defense. They don't have to blitz to get pressure. They can get pressure with your front four. The Patriots couldn't stop it. Drake Maye got playoffs this year, which is a playoff record. He broke Joe Burrow's record, who got sacked 20 times in the playoffs just a couple years ago. It was just 6 sacks, pressure, and turnovers. They got 3 turnovers, including a pick 6. The offense of the Seahawks didn't really do a whole lot, but the MVP of the Super Bowl, Kenneth Walker III, otherwise known as K9, was just otherworldly in this playoff. Zach Charbonnet goes down with an injury. Kenneth Walker, 100 yards in the first game, 100 yards in the second game, 100 yards in the Super Bowl, in this third game. He was impressive. And he's doing it in a variety of ways, both on the ground and through the air. You can't deny that. And of course, he's going to get a great payday. I don't think he even leaves Seattle because he was that good. It wasn't like Sam Darnold was perfect. He had one touchdown. He wasn't great, but he made the throws when he needed to make them. It's what you got to do. And when you have a defense that's playing like this, and the Patriots couldn't do anything, there you go. It's that simple. The Patriots, I know Drake Maye was injured. He was having to put shots in his shoulder to numb the pain, which probably didn't help his performance. But he got beat up a lot in this game. It was very frustrating to watch. I know Will Campbell's a little banged up, but he didn't play well in this playoffs and at the end of the stretch of the season either. Part of that was because he went against better players, too. It wasn't just the injury, it was better players he was going against. Going against Khalil Mack, going against Daniil Hunter, going against Will Anderson, going against Ndafe Owe, going against Nick Benito, going against DeMarcus Lawrence, Nwosu, going against those guys constantly and expecting something else to happen, that you were going to be good. It just doesn't work that way. The Patriots defense, it wasn't like they played bad. They just ran out of gas. They were expecting the offense to do something. It felt like in the playoffs, that's what you were expecting. This Patriots offense to do something, and it never got there, but they had a good enough defense to make plays. And I guess the reason of why when you get to Coach of the Year, that Mike Vrabel wins Coach of the Year. And that's the reason. They were good. To go from only winning 8 games in 2 years to winning 8+ games in a row, of course that's the guy who wins Coach of the Year. Now, the people going into the Hall of Fame, that's a whole different argument. But before we get into that, I want to give some praise to the players who won the awards this year. Matthew Stafford won MVP. In a nail-biter, he won by 5 votes over Drake Maye. But congratulations to Matthew Stafford, who also used the moments of his speech to talk about how he brought his daughters up there, and he was saying he was going to come back next year, which I thought was a really good moment, an unbelievable moment. It was the closest race of the MVP, but it was also well-deserved because it breaks the last few years of the player who has the best year doesn't get the award, but it's the player who goes the furthest, which I don't think that's how it should work. To me, it's the player with the best numbers. It's the most valuable player, not the most valuable team. That's the way I look at it. It's like that last year with Josh Allen, the year before Lamar Jackson. Those numbers were not the worst, but does he deserve it? No. Doesn't work that way. Next up, Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, 23 sacks. Breaking the all-time record, puts him in an unbelievable class of Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White have won it 3 times. The only other guy who's won it 4 times, there's one guy who won it 4 times, J.J. Watt. There you go. Offensive Player of the Year, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 1,700 yards in receiving it. 1,700 receiving yards. He was just that good. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Tedora McMillan. He deserved it because he played great down the stretch. Everyone thought Emeka Egbuka was going to have that award when he had that really great stretch of the season, and then it just kind of fell off. I was worried McMillan wasn't going to get it because he plays for Carolina. It's just not a franchise that gets a lot of view time, but he did. He did get it, so congratulations to him. Carson Schlesinger wins it, the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was part of that great Cleveland Browns team, led by now resigned defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, which we'll have a video on next week. It will be a full video of the whole Jim Schwartz and Cleveland Browns situation. For the Hall of Fame, they have 5 guys in the Hall of Fame. Drew Brees, who deserves it, Super Bowl champion, at one point led the entire NFL in career, the entire NFL history in passing yards. That was broken by Tom Brady. Which, that doesn't surprise anyone that Tom Brady broke a record, that he was doing that basically every week at one point. Larry Fitzgerald, the impressive thing about Larry Fitzgerald was 2 things. One, he started out as a vertical possession receiver. They told him you need to be more like Anquan Bolden, more like a raging bull, and he became that. The second thing was more tackles than drop passes, which means his quarterback got intercepted, and yet Larry Fitzgerald was the one making the tackle on the intercepting player. He has more of those tackles than drop passes in a career, not in a season, a career. That just blows my mind. It's unbelievable. That makes no sense, but he did it. He was that good. Luke Kuechly, whose career ended abruptly because of injuries, he would have been playing now. He'd still be playing now. He was that good. He did everything well. 3-down linebacker. He was great in the run. He was great in run defense. He was great in pass defense. He knew what the quarterback was going to do. He would say, watch out for this, and it was that exact play. The amount of studying he did. He was a great blitzer. He was great at filling his gaps and stopping the run. He was great in pass coverage. You don't see players like that anymore. You just don't. He was one of them. Adam Vinatieri. He leads the league in points as a kicker. Like, hello. There's 2 stories about Adam Vinatieri. But I'm going to share one, which is the Vinatieri story about how he got to Indianapolis. He leaves New England, and there's 2 teams that call, Indianapolis and Green Bay. He's like, if I have to go to the Packers, I have to kick in the cold. And yes, I'll get Brett Favre and eventually Aaron Rodgers, but I have to kick in the cold. Where if I get to go to Indianapolis, I get Peyton Manning, and I get to kick in a dome, and I can play longer. I'm going to go to Indianapolis. And that's how he ended up in Indianapolis. It was that was it. That was it. It was over. I either have to kick in the cold again or I get to kick in the dome. I'll take the dome. There you go. But the last for the Vinatieri one was when he was 44, 45, I would go through the channels on my TV, and we still had TV, and I'd turn it on, and it would be a Colts game, and it'd be third down. And I have no dog in this fight, but I wanted it to get the fourth down so we could see Vinatieri kick a field goal. They get the fourth down and be like, let's go. Here comes Vinatieri. The legend comes in. He starts walking in. Here we go. Lines up 52 yards. Boom, makes it. And it would be like a 48-yarder. Boom, makes it. It was just like, he's doing this at 44, 45 years old. And he kicks to his age 46 season. Like, what? He was that good at what he did. To do it for that long. I mean, you can't deny that. He was that good. He was just unbelievable. The last name is Roger Craig, a guy who deserved to be in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, and we'll get into that momentarily. There's only 3 players who've ever done this. He was the first player to ever do this. To have 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing in the same year. No player had ever done that. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. So why wasn't he in the Hall of Fame earlier? Because teams like the 49ers, the Patriots in the 2000s, but the 49ers in the 80s, 90s, the Cowboys in the 90s and in the 70s, the Steelers in the 70s, the Broncos in the late 90s, the Raiders in the 60s and then there in the 80s, those teams were really good. I mean, not so much in the 60s for the Raiders, but like the 70s into the 80s, the 49ers 80s into the 90s, the Steelers in the early 70s, the Cowboys in the early 90s, the Broncos in the late 90s, all those, the Commanders, even though it's more just name redacted, Washington name redacted, in the 70s, all those teams were really good teams in those years, in those decades. They had a lot of really good players that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that aren't because of they were so good, the Bills in the 80s and 90s. How can I forget about that? Those teams were really good. The reason a lot of those players aren't in the Hall of Fame is because they were all retired around the same time. So, okay, we can't put this player in because he had a teammate that's also up. So either we can put both, we can't put both of them in, which again, I'm like, why not? You can, but they don't want to. So like, let's not put either of them in, which then just compounds the problem into the next year, but they do it anyway. Which leads to my last point, which is just make the classes bigger and make the voting a lot easier. Tony Dungy said this when we talked about it on Monday's show about the oath that doesn't make sense and all that stuff. But he brought up a point of they should make it easier to get the guys who are finalists in. I agree. But you can also just make the classes bigger. Remember when they did the All-Century team, they did those 2 classes, those 2 Hall of Fame classes? I thought they were going to do that forever. And do that for a while until they could get all caught up again. Or they could do what I'm suggesting. But a lot of people have suggested. Make the classes go from 5 or 7 to 10 to 15. Have them go 15 one year. And then the next year you can do 8. And then the year after, if there's not as many, you can do 4. And then the next year you can do 12 or whatever. You do that. Make it a number that goes up and down. It doesn't matter how many people get in. It just matters that they get in. There's players that deserve to be in. Roger Craig didn't get in for 30 years. Darren Woodson hasn't been in yet. Belichick and Kraft aren't in yet. These are names that deserve to be in. Why did it either take so long for them to get in, or why aren't they in? Make the classes bigger. Stop with the whole, well, they were on the same team, we can't put them all in at the same time. Yes, you can. Stop it. It's dumb. Put them in. Because there are teams that are more successful in their heyday, and there's players that haven't gotten in yet because they were part of the same team. Doesn't matter. they were really good or they're great and they deserve to be in there. Stop with, oh, we can't do that. Yes, you can. Stop with the bull. Just stop it. It's dumb. Put him in. Let me know in the comments, were you surprised Matthew Stafford won the MVP? And also, who should have won MVP? Banner for the World and the Wordplay Podcast. I'm Jacob Hebert. And we will see you next year. Out.